Let's rewind 6 months. It was my 34th birthday, nothing major, but my wife, Melissa, seemed unusually excited. For a week she had been glued to her phone, smiling mysteriously, being secretive. I assumed she was planning a surprise party. I figured after the cold distance between us lately, maybe she was trying to rekindle something. Melissa and I had been married for 6 years. We met in college. She was a driven business student from a wealthy family, and I was a scholarship kid balancing 3 jobs to afford textbooks and ramen. Her parents never really warmed to me. Her dad, Gregory, would make backhanded comments about my humble beginnings every Thanksgiving. Her mother once asked me how my little job was going after I'd been promoted. Melissa, meanwhile, was busy curating our lives on Instagram, always comparing us to her cousin Kendall, who married into money and posted mansion shots with wine glasses and pool views. Our modest apartment was always described with captions like humble beginnings or simple joys, as if it were a temporary phase until she upgraded. I ignored the warning signs, the frequent family dinners that ran late, the fancy gym membership, the faint scent of expensive cologne on her clothes. I kept telling myself things would get better if I just worked harder. On my birthday, I came home from work to an empty apartment. Melissa had texted, asking me to meet her at her parents' house. Odd choice for a birthday surprise, but I figured maybe she was trying to bury the hatchet between me and her family. When I arrived, I walked into a room full of people, her parents, her sister, cousins, even friends of the family. They were holding champagne glasses, wearing smug grins. Melissa stood near the center holding a manila envelope. She looked nervous and excited. Then she smiled and said, "Surprise, I'm leaving you for someone who isn't a disappointment." Her father burst into laughter. We never thought she'd actually marry someone so beneath her. The envelope contained divorce papers, already filled out. Her mom popped a champagne bottle. People started clapping. It was a celebration of my humiliation. I didn't scream. I didn't ask why. I just asked Melissa for a pen. Her smile faded a little. Her dad handed me a gold-plated one. I walked to their marble kitchen island, signed the papers in silence, and looked up at Melissa. "Thanks for the birthday gift," I said. "Best one yet." And I walked out. I drove aimlessly, stunned. Ended up in a dive bar an hour away, nursing a whiskey and staring at my phone as messages from Melissa came flooding in. "Aren't you going to say something? You're proving my point by not fighting." 3 drinks in, my shock had been replaced by something colder. A calculating fire. They didn't know what I knew, what I had quietly collected over the years. I called my friend Daniel, a divorce lawyer with a reputation. Then I downloaded every suspicious text and photo from our shared cloud. I made a list of mutual friends and colleagues who'd need to hear the truth before Melissa spun her version. By noon the next day, Daniel had filed counter papers. I moved essentials into a storage unit, emptied half our joint accounts, left hers untouched. She wanted a clean break, fine. I'd make it cleaner than she expected. It's been a week. Melissa went from smug to panicked. Her last message: "This isn't how it was supposed to go." No, Melissa, it wasn't. You don't plan a party for my destruction and expect me to play the clown. Part 2, from scorched earth to stardust. Over the next 3 months, everything changed. I moved into a short-term rental with bare walls and secondhand furniture, but it was mine, quiet, peaceful. I joined a gym. Not out of vengeance, but to do something with the tension constantly clawing under my skin. Every weight I lifted felt like one brick removed from the wall Melissa had helped build around my self-worth. Daniel, my lawyer, was a tactician. Every meeting with Melissa's counsel ended with them conceding more than they'd expected. No kids, thank God. My name was on most of our joint assets, and thanks to that shared cloud account, I had the receipts. Literally. Turns out Melissa's better option was a coworker named Blake, young, ambitious, full of himself. They'd been involved for at least 8 months. Hotel bookings, love notes disguised as calendar invites, selfies taken in the elevator at her office. I didn't confront her. I didn't need to. Her parents, meanwhile, started experiencing their own setbacks. Her father's business, once untouchable, hit regulatory snags, rumors of audits, contracts falling through. The smug dinner table commentary had dried up. One evening, I bumped into Melissa's sister, Natalie, at the grocery store. She was the only one in that family who'd ever shown me real kindness. She looked embarrassed, unsure if she should speak. "She's not doing great," she finally said. "Blake dumped her. Something about reputation risk." I nodded, didn't ask more. Then, 2 weeks later, it happened. I got a message from Melissa. "I know you probably hate me, but I miss us. I miss your stupid jokes and the way you always made coffee for both of us, even when we were mad. Blake, he wasn't what I thought. I made a mistake. Please, can we talk?" I didn't reply. The next morning she was parked outside my building. Her once pristine white Audi looked dusty. Her makeup was smudged. She had a blanket in the passenger seat and fast food wrappers scattered across the dash. I watched from my window as she stared up at my apartment, and I made coffee. Part 3. When the dust settles, Melissa stayed in her car for 2 more nights. I didn't go down. I didn't answer her messages. I kept living my life. But on the 3rd morning I found her still parked there, slumped over in the driver's seat. She looked thinner, her clothes disheveled, hair tied in a loose knot. Something in me, maybe a final echo of who we used to be, made me walk outside with a thermos of coffee. She startled when I tapped on the window, rolled it down slowly. "I wasn't sure if you'd come down," she said, voice cracking. "You should go home," I replied calmly. Her lips trembled. "I don't have a home. Blake's gone. My dad, he's under investigation. Our assets are frozen. They laid off half the staff. My parents are selling the house." I didn't speak. "I thought I was trading up," she admitted, "but I ended up with nothing." We stood there in silence until I handed her the coffee. "You can come inside for an hour, warm up. But after that, you need to move on." Inside, she looked around my modest place. "It's nice," she said. "It's peaceful," I corrected. She sipped her drink, looking down. "I wanted the world to see I was living a dream. Turns out, dreams don't last long when they're built on lies. I rebuilt my life without you in it, Melissa," I said. "Not out of spite, out of necessity. You showed me exactly where I stood in your world. I won't go back to being a placeholder in someone else's plan." Tears welled in her eyes. "I understand. I needed to say it. I'm sorry." "I believe you," I replied. "But forgiveness doesn't mean reunion," she nodded. Left a few minutes later with a blanket and a new thermos full of coffee. I never saw her in person again. A month passed, the divorce finalized without much fuss. I kept the apartment. She didn't ask for anything else. Daniel said he'd never seen a turnaround that clean. I started working part-time on a side project refinishing old furniture. I opened a small shop online. One day, a message came in from a buyer. "You made something beautiful out of something forgotten." That felt poetic. Then I met Claire, a friend of a friend. Funny, unfiltered, with the kind of laugh that makes strangers turn their heads. We started slow, coffee dates, long walks. She didn't care that I wasn't some high-powered executive. She liked that I could fix a crooked table leg and brew a mean French press. One night on my balcony, she looked over at me and said, "You know, I think your ex leaving might have been the best thing that ever happened to you." I smiled. "I think you're right. As for Melissa, last I heard, she moved out of state, got a job at a small marketing firm. No more mansion parties or luxury posts, just quiet. Maybe she's starting over too. I hope she is. But me, I'm no longer part of that world. I've built something real, something mine. And when people ask how I bounce back after being humiliated in front of a room full of champagne-sipping snobs on my birthday, I tell them, some people get candles. I got clarity."